All right, so today we're diving into The Widow's Whisper.
Ooh, this is a good one.
It is right. A thriller that drops us right in the middle of this picture-perfect community, but with a lot of dark secrets.
Yeah, a classic setup, but really well executed.
You all know we love a good mystery, and you sent in some excerpts.
And just from those excerpts, it seems like we're in for a wild ride.
So to set the scene, we're on Lakeside Lane. Everyone knows their neighbors.
Oh, yeah, and probably too much about their neighbors.
Right. But then Gregory Vaughn, super successful businessman.
Living the dream life, right?
You would think so.
Perfect house, perfect family.
Until he turns up dead on his perfectly manicured lawn.
So tragic.
Yeah, but the thing that struck me was how staged it all felt.
Right, almost too perfect.
Exactly. Like, is that really how it went down?
Yeah, and that's something that real detectives look at, too. You know, one of the first things they try to figure out is, was this crime scene tampered with?
Oh, to mislead them.
Yeah, exactly. And Detective Hayes in this story, she picks up on that right away.
What was it that tipped her off?
Well, there was no sign of a struggle, which makes her think the body was moved.
Oh, so someone was trying to control the narrative?
From the very beginning.
And then there's the missing wife, Evelyn.
Yeah.
I mean, the timing is just...
Suspicious, right?
Yeah.
Vanishes right when her husband is murdered and then reappears later.
Oh, saying she was just out for a walk by the lake and stumbled on all the police cars?
Really convenient.
Way too convenient.
What do you think about her story?
I know, that feels like a classic case of making a bad situation even worse.
Oh, absolutely.
Maybe she really did panic. But all her actions, those gaps in her alibi and the phone records,
They don't look good.
it makes you wonder, in those high-pressure moments, do people make choices that just...
Yeah, that incriminate them even if they're innocent.
Right. And that's what makes this case so interesting.
Totally. We're not just figuring out who did it, but why they did it.
Like, what was going on in their heads?
Exactly. Fear, guilt, desperation, these can push people to make really irrational choices.
It's true. We don't always think logically, especially under stress.
Not at all.
Okay, well, let's move on to some other suspects.
All right, let's do it.
We've got James Mercer, the business partner.
Right, and they had that huge blow up at the charity gala the night before.
Yeah, and you can't forget about the potential financial motive.
That's a big one.
So it seems like we've got a pretty solid suspect.
He's definitely a strong contender, and the author puts in those details, right?
Oh, for sure. Like the argument, the scratch on his hand.
Yeah, to make us suspicious.
Yeah.
But remember, they're masters of misdirection.
Oh, right, leading us down the wrong path.
Exactly. They want us to question everyone's motives.
Which brings us to Ruby Harrington, the neighbor.
Ah, the gossipy neighbor.
Yes, who just happens to see Evelyn sneaking out late at night.
Well.
So is she a reliable witness or just stirring the pot?
I mean, come on, it's Lakeside Lane. Everyone has secrets.
True, very true.
But Ruby represents that social pressure, you know?
That judgment that hangs over everyone.
Exactly. And whether she's telling the truth or exaggerating, she adds to the suspicion around Evelyn.
For sure. And then we have the estranged son, Connor.
Classic troubled child with a motive.
Right, but wait, the security footage clears him?
Oh, interesting.
But that same footage shows Evelyn leaving the house with a gym bag.
Okay, so every time we think we can eliminate someone, another clue pops up.
Pointing us in a different direction.
It's like the author is playing with us, keeping us guessing.
Absolutely. And the question now is, why was Evelyn sneaking out?
Is she hiding something, or is she caught up in all this by pure bad luck?
We'll have to wait till next time to find out.
Can't wait.
Welcome back. So last time we were talking about all those initial suspects.
Yeah, and how the author was throwing us off the scent with all those red herrings.
Right. So where do we go from here? We know Evelyn was sneaking out late at night.
Super suspicious, but if she didn't kill Gregory, then what's she hiding?
Right, and this is where that forensic evidence comes in.
Absolutely. The book mentions that Gregory was actually killed in the kitchen.
Not on the lawn like we first thought.
Nope. And the murder weapon, a knife from a missing set, was found later in a storm drain.
Those details are pretty important.
Well, they tell us that the killer really tried to cover their tracks.
To stage the scene.
Exactly.
But hold on. Wouldn't a good detective be able to tell that the body had been moved?
You would think, right?
I mean, wouldn't there be some kind of sign?
Drag marks something.
Yeah.
But it's not just about moving the body. It's about manipulating the evidence.
Tell a specific story.
Yeah, and experienced criminals. And remember, we are dealing with fiction here.
Right.
But they often know a bit about forensics, you know? So they might clean up bloodstains or plant false evidence.
To throw off the investigation.
Exactly.
So in this case, The killer was trying to make it look like the attack happened outside.
But the evidence tells a whole different story.
Yeah, and that missing gym bag.
Oh, yeah. It turns out that was all part of the plan to frame Evelyn.
Wait, seriously? Why go through all that trouble?
Because framing someone isn't just about getting away with murder.
Well, what is it about then?
It's about controlling the story, making someone else take the blame.
A scapegoat.
Yeah. And in this case, the killer was using those rumors about Evelyn.
To make her the obvious suspect?
People already thought she was capable of doing something like this.
Because of her relationship with Gregory.
And her strange behavior.
It's scary to think that people can be manipulated like that.
Especially when they're already vulnerable.
Right, so if Evelyn didn't kill him,
Yeah.
then who did?
Hmm.
James seemed like the most likely suspect.
He did, but if he was trying to frame Evelyn,
Why would he leave his fingerprints on the weapon?
yeah, that doesn't add up.
Not at all.
That's where things take a bit of a turn. Remember those money problems we talked about?
Okay.
Well, it turns out James had been stealing from the company for years.
Embezzling.
Exactly. And Gregory found out.
Oh.
So James was afraid of getting caught.
And losing everything.
So he acted without thinking, and it led to this awful outcome.
So he killed Gregory in the heat of the moment.
But then came up with this whole elaborate plan to frame Evelyn.
Wow. Talk about a split-second decision with huge consequences.
It really shows how complex people can be, especially under pressure.
James made all these choices that ended up destroying him.
That's right.
So what about Evelyn? She's cleared of the murder, but what happens to her after all this?
Well, that's what we'll talk about in the last part of our deep dive.
Okay.
The truth is out there, but the damage is done, you know?
Right. Her reputation is ruined.
And those rumors about her on Lakeside Lane, they're not going to just disappear.
We'll also uncover one final twist that changes how we see Gregory.
And adds a whole new layer to this already complicated story.
All right, so we're back for the final part of our look into The Widow's Whisper.
We've really seen how that perfect life on Lakeside Lane wasn't so perfect after all.
No, it's all just a facade hiding all these dark secrets.
Yeah, and it led to this horrible crime, but the story doesn't end with James confessing.
No, what about Evelyn? She's cleared, but how does she deal with everything that happened?
That's where the story gets really interesting. You know, she's innocent in the eyes of the law, but public opinion, that's a whole other story.
Yeah, people are going to talk.
Oh, they are. Even though she didn't do it, that suspicion, it kind of sticks with her.
It's like a stain on her reputation that might never go away.
It is, and it makes you think, you know, even when justice is served, there are still people who get hurt.
Absolutely. She lost her husband, her sense of safety, and now her place in the community.
And that psychological impact, it can be devastating.
Even for someone who's proven innocent.
Exactly. And the author touches on this idea of social death.
Social death.
Yeah, it's where someone's still alive, but they're isolated and rejected by society.
Because of what they're accused of.
Or the stigma around them. So even though she's free, Evelyn's kind of a ghost in her own life.
That's so sad, especially considering she was a victim, too.
James used her, tried to make her take the fall for his crime.
But there is a bit of hope in all this, right? What about Connor Gregory's son?
Oh, Connor, his story is really powerful. You know, despite his past and the issues he had with his dad.
He didn't have the best relationship with Gregory.
No, not really, but he chooses to believe Evelyn.
He sees through the rumors.
Yeah, and he supports her. He knows she's hurting too.
It shows that even in families that have problems, there can still be empathy. Forgiveness, even.
Yeah, it's a beautiful reminder that we can find support in unexpected places.
There's also that one last twist that I found fascinating, that note Evelyn finds.
Oh, the one in Gregory's book.
Yeah, the message from beyond the grave.
Chilling.
It is Gregory confesses that he knew about James's betrayal the whole time.
Wow.
And he tells Evelyn how much he loves her, that he never doubted her.
That's so bittersweet, you know?
It is tragic that it took his death for her to really understand his feelings.
Yeah, but it also shows that even in this story full of darkness, there was real love.
And loyalty?
It changes how we see Gregory, too. He's not just the victim.
He's more complex than that.
Right. He made choices based on his own sense of loyalty and protecting the people he cared about.
And those choices had huge consequences.
They did. So what do we take away from all this from The Widow's Whisper?
What have we learned?
I think it's a warning about judging people based on what we see.
That perfect image of Lakeside Lane.
Yeah, it was all fake hiding the truth.
It reminds us that everyone has a story, and it's usually more complicated than we realize.
So much more.
It also shows how powerful the truth is no matter how hard someone tries to hide it.
It always finds a way to come out.
Maybe through a mistake,
Yeah.
a confession, or even a message from beyond the grave.
Exactly. And as we wrap up our deep dive, I want to leave you with this.
Go ahead.
The next time you get caught up in a mystery, whether it's a book or something real, remember to look deeper. Think about the people involved, their motivations.
The things they don't say.
Yeah, you might be surprised by what you find.
So to everyone listening out there, keep exploring. Keep asking questions.
And never underestimate the power of a whisper.
Until next time, happy sleuthing, everyone.